Because my work exists in time and space, it's difficult to talk about without seeing it. It's not like I can have sculptures like Suzanne did out in front and talk about my work. So I knew I had to be showing you all something of mine. So here is a solo performance I am currently workshopping and will show at the Shea Theater in Turners Falls on December 15th and 16th as part of Eggtooth Productions' new vaudeville holiday spectacular. The piece is called John Berryman Reads My Poems, featuring a bottle of whiskey. As you may have guessed, this has mature content, alcohol use and discussion of suicide. So you are welcome to step out of the theater for the performance if this subject matter might be difficult for you. It's only about 10 minutes long. I have been studying John Berryman's poetry for 3 years now. He is an enormous figure in American letters, but not as widely known as his contemporaries Robert Lowell, Sylvia Plath, Anne Sexton, and Elizabeth Bishop. Berryman compromises the lucidity of his meaning to give a fuller picture of the American landscape. He captures the diction of the country better than all these other poets combined, I think. There's something obscure, something sort of jaunty, something messy, something wrenching about his work that makes it totally thrilling to me, even though it can be hard to understand at times. Here's one of his poems from his most famous collection, 77 Dream Songs, which won him a Pulitzer Prize in 1968. Or 5, rather. All right. I recommend just trying to live in the images and the rhythm of the work. This is Dream Song number 34. My mother has your shotgun, one man wide, in the mind and tendoned like a grizzly pride to his trigger digit pal. He should not have done that, but I guess he didn't feel the best, sister, felt less and more about less than us. Now, tell me, my love, if you recall, the dove light after dawn at the island and all. Here is the story, Jack. He verbed for 40 years, very enough, and shot, and bucked, and baby, there was of skis but small there some. Why should I tell a truth, when in the crack of the dooming and emptying news I did hold back, in the taxi too, sick, silent, it's so broken down here in his mind, whose sire as mine one same way, I refuse, hoping the guy go home. So now that we've heard some of Berryman's work, here's my solo performance. John Berryman reads my poems featuring a bottle of whiskey. I hope you enjoy it, and I will be back very soon. It's okay if I drink. I never drink when I teach. I never go to class drunk. But this is not a class now, is it? You must answer my questions or I will ramble. I've always had such a time with that light. I can never decide if I want it on or I want it off. Doesn't really matter. Seems to decide for itself what it wants. I'm generally out of the picture. Now, about your poems. They're an exceptional disappointment, you know. I expected more from you, Jeremy. Especially considering you're pursuing a graduate degree in poetry. This is serious business, pal. I don't want to read a journal, I want to read a poem. A poem that reminds me where I am. Would you like a drink? Keeps the tongue limber. Now, you mustn't be afraid. I'm only John Berryman. Or is that you? Am I Pulitzer Prize winner John Berryman? Or is that you? No, it's not you. Then it must be me. That's too bad. I would have very much liked for John Berryman to be you. Do you know what I think, Jeremy? There's a river beneath all poems. A river of ink that's cold and black and sets its face against yellow legal pad. And would you grab the door? Grab the door, Jeremy. What do you mean, what door? Jacob. Busting in. I could have been on the phone, Jacob. With President Jacob. Jacob. Sam. Sam. Well, now we're even. Now we're both pissed off. I'm with a student, Sam. You'll have to wait. Could be here for forever? I'm plenty steady enough, Jacob. And don't you suppose that might be the point? I could fall off my seat at any moment. And wouldn't that just be terrible? What was I saying? This is the delicious problem with being a genius. You can never remember where you left off and where you'll pick up again. It's just a general cloud of confusion concerning where you are at any given moment. And let me tell you, that confusion can become frighteningly dull. I may go to battle with that light. Are you sure it's not too bright for you? All right, we'll leave it for now. River. That's right. All poems have a river underneath them. Every word, every line, every stanza is a tributary, driving us like hell towards the final thing. The greatest river, the only river, the river that's been there all along but we couldn't see. No, because we were too far out. There's an interesting question. You see, the river's the thing we're traveling to, but also traveling on. The water from the tributaries. They can't throw a fit and go, no, I don't want to go to the river. They must. So you see, it was, always was, inevitable that the tributaries mingle, eventually, with the waters from the Great Black Inky River. Which makes them, I think, always part of it in one way or another. Now this is true of great poems. All poems are reaching for this. And your poems are certainly reaching. They are reaching like hell. Are you sure you wouldn't like a drink? You're thin. Jeremy, why don't you go over there and grab 2 apples? I could use a bite. A hard bite. Hard like the river. Or this exceptional light. Are you blind, kiddo? From the vendor over there. Pale. Paler. Pale less. Fine. I'll do it. Two apples, please. Hard. Oh, I'm afraid if I touch them, I'd squeeze them too hard and spill their guts. Why don't you pick them out for me? Excellent. Come here. I'm afraid I wouldn't be very good at touching these apples right now. Jeremy, why don't you come over here and take these apples from this man? He's shy. I think he thinks I'm cuckoo. Well, pay the guy. Good boy. Thank you. You have both, you're thin. Do you know what I hate, Jeremy? Poets who reminisce. Poets who look back at their lives and think about how perfect life was. Life was and always will be exactly as it is. No better, no worse. I'm hiding from my memories in a lot of ways, Jeremy. You'll have to forgive me. Now, about your ill-conceived, tired before the race has begun poems. I won't tell you they're any good. But they'll certainly be good enough. And you'll certainly become a sensation, and you'll certainly be published in the New Yorker, and you'll certainly get tenure at a university, and you'll certainly be very unhappy for most of your life. If you do it right. Because you'll be striving for something you cannot have. How little we decide and how much is decided for us. Are you certain it's not too bright for you? Perhaps I've done it this time. Hit my limit with the booze. Now the cumulative hangover begins. Years and years of dodging the truth, it's all hitting me at once. Are you sure it's not too bright for you? You must answer my questions or I... Well, I think it's too bright. What do you mean, what could we do? We could turn down the light. What can we do? You'll have to do it if I move my head spins. What do you mean you can't? A street light? Don't be slow, I'm not in the mood. If you won't do it, no, I'll do it. Where's the switch on this thing? Is it at the top? I can't reach the top. It's too high, I think. It's too high. I can't reach the top of a street light. No man is that tall. Why is there this giant light in my office? Oh. Whiskey. Where's the whiskey, pal? Hiding it, pal? Do you like what I've done with my office? I thought it was suitable for the occasion. This bridge, this river, the Mississippi River, America's great black inky river flowing beneath us. That vendor, this street, these bits of gravels, and that street light. Just another thing decided for us. You must see, Jeremy, that I've been running towards the river all my life, rushing to it, carried by the tributaries. It's hard, being in service of something that is not yours. My poems were never mine. They weren't then, and they can't be now. They belong to the river. And I want something that's mine. I would rather have it be on my terms this time. I will meet the river. The river will not meet me. You've been scared this whole time, I can tell. I'm perceptive. You don't like that my chair is the banister of this bridge. You don't like that my feet dangle a mile above the cold water. Well, don't you think that might just be the point? Terrible to think that your poems will be the last thing I read. In 10 years' time, when you've won a Pulitzer Prize of your own, you send me 3 poems, and I'll tell you just how rotten they are, and why. Don't worry, I'll pay off Sharon. He'll row them across the river Styx for me for a bottle and a buck and a bottle of whiskey. I'll wait. Morning, bud. Goodbye.